Today's experiment is going to be on Piagets' formal operational stage. The two participants in this, one is an 18-year-old girl by the name of Alexa Yount. She's a junior in high school. The other is a middle school art teacher by the name of Amy Yount, and she is 41 years old. And what I'm looking for is the difference in cognitive ability from the age of 18 to the age of 41. I'm looking for different ways and different ways they handle the scenario. What I'm going to do is I'm going to present them a moral dilemma, and we're going to ask a few questions of them and see how they answer those questions, and then we're gonna break down the differences in how they answer their questions and why. All right, so without further ado, here is the video of the experiment. All right, my name is Robert Yount, and I have here with me today Alexa Yount and Amy Yount, and they're going to help me with my experiment. This experiment is going to be over a moral dilemma that you guys will have to answer some questions on, okay? All right, so the moral dilemma is you have a guy by the name of Mark who finds out that his wife has a rare form of cancer, and he finds out after finding out about her cancer that there is a local pharmacist who has found the cure for this particular cancer. Obviously, the pharmacist wants a great deal of money for this cure for cancer. So Mark goes about trying to come up with the money to get the cure. Unfortunately, Mark's unable to come up with the amount of funds it would take to convince the pharmacist to sell him the cure. So the moral dilemma is, it goes through Mark's mind of maybe stealing the cure. My question to you, my first question to each of you is, would you steal it if you were Mark, and why? Amy, you first.
I would not steal it because there's things stealing is wrong, and that's tough. But I mean, at the end of the day, stealing is still wrong. So I don't think I would do that.
Okay, Alexa, what would be your decision on that?
Don't ground me. I would steal
You would steal it to save your husband? You would steal it? Okay. Why?
it because I imagine it as like a life or death thing.
Okay.
If you don't steal it.
Okay. Now, let me present this situation. Let's say they have small children involved. Okay. So, let's say the wife is dying of cancer, and they have a small child. They have a child maybe in diapers. Does that change your thoughts on whether to do it or not? Alexa?
No.
Amy, does that change your thoughts on it with a small child being?
I would use it as a lesson.
Okay.
An opportunity to teach our kids
The importance of.
that's wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Now, the next question I would ask you, let's reverse the roles. Let's say it's the wife that's healthy and the husband that's sick. Does that change your scenario, and why?
So the husband's gonna steal it for himself?
No, the husband's sick and dying, and the wife is the one that's got to decide whether to steal it or not.
I don't think it matters who does it.
Okay. Amy, what do you feel? Still doesn't change your mind on anything like that? Okay. All right. Now, the next question I'm going to ask you, what would be an alternative to him stealing the medicine, or stealing the medicine? What would be an alternative idea to come up with?
I would say, if he's raised a certain amount of money, then, or has a certain amount of money, then maybe he could start a GoFundMe or something. To raise
Well,
the
now
rest
remember-
of it,
Now, remember, he's tried all this and to no avail. He just couldn't get the money. So, what would be, you want to think about it for a second?
Yeah.
All right, Alexa, what about you? What would be an alternative?
I mean, he could go through just regular treatment.
Or she could go through, well, they've already tried the regular treatment. This is, if she doesn't get this medicine, she's going to die.
Maybe if you bribe them.
Well, the only way you can bribe the pharmacist is to get him money. And he's already said how much money he would want for it. Have you thought of anything else, Amy?
Not really. I mean,
How about he just become a pharmacist?
Well, the problem is he wouldn't have time for that. So, okay. Now let me ask you. This will be the last question. All right. How, if he was successful in stealing the cure, how do you think his wife would feel about that?
I feel like she'd probably be upset about it, honestly.
You think she'd be upset about it?
Because it's wrong to steal, but I don't know.
What about you, Miss Amy? How would you?
well, I mean, I'm sure there would be relief that you're well all of a sudden. I mean, he wouldn't want to be well, but at the end of the day, I think he would look back on it and say, well, I mean, we're trading one thing for another, really, I guess.
Yeah. Now,
But in my honest opinion, I feel like I'd rather, I don't know, how do I explain it? I get in trouble and they're okay and well, living happy.
okay.
But at
You
the
would-
end of the day, to me, though, it's important. I mean, you're going to face hardships on earth, and if it's not that, it could be something else. You're not always going to be able to get out of everything that comes your way. And eventually you are going to die. So death is kind of a reality that you have to come to terms with. Now, life beyond life on earth, I mean, you're basically giving that up. I mean, and doing something you shouldn't be doing.
Okay. Miss Amy and Alexa, I thank both of you for your participation in this. Just for the record, Alexa is 18 years old and she is a high school junior. Amy is 41 and she is a middle school teacher. Thank you very much. Okay. After doing the interview with both Amy and Alexa and having the opportunity to kind of look over their responses, I think one of the first things that I can say about this is I do think both of them were kind of nervous being in front of a camera. So I think that may have played a little bit of a role in my experiment, as they did seem at first to be a little hesitant to explain answers. I thought it was very rudimentary. Like at the the pre-operational stage, you're going to see answers defined as like Alexa, which was the younger of the two. She said she would just steal it because it was a matter of life and death. And I think with a complete, ignoring the situation with the pharmacist and his rights and his possibilities. As opposed to, I think Amy took a little bit different approach of she really dug her heels in pretty deep in that initial answer of stealing's wrong, and she really had a problem with the idea of stealing, and that there was you could tell there was a moral issue with her in the idea of stealing in general or in doing anything like that. I think both of them, I wanted to try to switch up the situation just a little bit. That's why I introduced the idea of maybe a child, as well as I introduced, what if it's a switch and it's the father that's sick instead of or it's the husband that's sick instead of the wife. And I wanted to see if that would change anything. I was I was a little bit surprised that in both situations, each time they were very adamant that no, that wasn't going to change their thought process of it didn't matter. I think at one time Alexa said it doesn't matter, where Amy's just basically said no. Okay. I thought when we kind of really got to see some things with this experiment is when we start talking about alternatives, and especially when we got into the wife's feelings, which I think kind of hit a little more home to both of them. The alternatives, I did kind of bust their bubble on a few of them. Like I think Alexa said something about doing regular treatments. Maybe bribe someone. I think she said the pharmacist, but or become a pharmacist. I think those are kind of limited. I don't know about formal operational stage. Those are ideas, but I would still say that would be still rudimentary in thought. Amy's response was a GoFundMe, and then she really didn't have an answer for it, which I think, again, this reverts back to nerves, I think, in some aspects. But I think where we really got our opportunity to really dig into the formal operational stage of their thought processes and the difference in it. Whereas Alexa was, when we talked about the wife's feelings, she said, hey, the wife would be upset, but if she, and in putting herself in the husband's situation, she took it upon herself as a husband's situation. She said, I would rather me be in jail, or me be in trouble, or me get in trouble, than for her to die. I thought that was interesting, where that moral compass kind of switches. And she says, no. And this is that cognitive thought, that problem-solving cognitive thought, moral reasoning for why she would do it. This is that moral reasoning. I would rather me suffer in jail than for her to die. Whereas I think we learn from Miss Amy, who's much older, who has a lot more life lived. She's a lot closer to her religious beliefs, and so that it's changed her thoughts morale wise, as in she values post death life. More immediately than a younger person like Alexa would, and it just kind of gives you the idea of an understanding that, or at least on a moral scale, that when you're young, when you're 18, 19, 20 years old, these are still people who death just seems like a distance away. It just seems like something way far off. The idea of it just seems like something way far off. So they have these very these very different answers than somebody that's a little bit more aged, somebody that's not, that doesn't think that they've got 100 or years and years and years of to life to live. And Amy, who said, "Hey, I don't want to put my afterlife soul at risk by doing two wrongs don't make a right. Me trying to save him by stealing, that's going to that could put him in danger still, but that can also put me in danger, and that could put me in danger religiously." I think she said, "We have hardships on earth. Death is inevitable. Life beyond is not worth giving up to do something wrong." She takes a bigger approach of, hey, ultimately we all pass away, and we're going to go through that. So while you're saving this person right now, you can't guarantee that person won't go home, get in a wreck, and die anyway. So therefore, what are you really putting your life, your future, and your spiritual life is in her opinion, what are you putting on the line for? So, and I think she did say that initially that the wife would have a feeling of relief, but she would be upset. She would be upset because of this reasoning. Overall, I thought the experiment was a success. Probably would have liked to have gotten a little bit more from them on the alternatives than I got, and maybe even on the switches. But I really felt like it came home on these last few this last answer especially. There's an obvious difference, just in this experiment between the thought process of a young adult versus the thought process of an older adult. Alexis still being in school, even though she's 18, she still has very much of a teenager's mentality of things. That's why you've seen a more direct answer of "I'll steal it," versus I think a little bit more back off. Hey, let me think beyond this. Let me think beyond life itself. Answer that you got from Amy, who's much more seasoned adult, grown, been married for 20 years, has 2 kids that are pretty much grown. So she had quite a bit different answer in terms of it. I like the way they were polar opposites of each other. One of the things I will say also about this particular experiments, neither one of these two knew the scenario going into it. So this really was getting their initial responses to these. Again, my name's Robert Yount. This is my experiment on Piagets, or Piagets. I don't say the name very well right. Cognitive development. Hopefully, I was able to bring something to the table with this, and I look forward to seeing the responses in the discussion board to this video. I thank you for your time and your patience. I know this video was a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, but I wanted to make sure I got both the pre-analysis and after-analysis in real good for you guys. So I thank you very much for your time, and look forward to your responses. Thank you.